10 WWE wrestlers who were instantly humbled. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. Number 10. The Big Show. The Big Show's WWE career was a mixed bag, yet it was one segment with Randy Orton in 2021 that offended and humbled the Big Show enough to leave the company. In the now infamous segment, Orton would verbally run down the Big Show, and at one stage he even put his hand over Big Show's throat. WWE booked Big Show to sit there and take this abuse, and Big Show was completely justified in taking issue with the segment, as it made him look completely powerless. During an interview with Inside the Ropes, the wrestling legend discussed why he found the segment humbling. That's something that the WWE has always done too. They will use every tool available to promote something that they're promoting. Everything's on the table with them. I understand that the role was setting up what it was setting up, but it was a little bit of a humbling experience to sit on the stage and get berated for the work that you've done. But that's part of what you sign a contract for. You sign a contract and you get paid to check your ego at the door. If you don't want to check your ego anymore, then you can leave. Number 9. Ronda Rousey. The 2018-2019 run that Ronda Rousey had in WWE exceeded all expectations. Rousey brought her A-game to the WWE and she had tremendous matches. However, when Rousey returned to WWE in 2022, something had changed, and she had spent this second run being humbled by the company itself. Rousey's in-ring work dramatically regressed, and this left WWE with no choice but to move her down the card. Rousey went from winning the Royal Rumble and being in a top match at WrestleMania 38 to being presented in the tag division in feuds that, to be fair, nobody even cared about. WWE's booking showed Rousey that just because she was a star in the UFC and had a successful prior run, she was still going to have to deliver at a high level, and she wasn't going to be able to rely on her star power. It's been evident based on Rousey's numerous interviews since leaving WWE that she didn't remotely enjoy her second run in the company, and it's hard to find sympathy in her situation, and it was without a doubt a humbling experience for the former women's champion. Number 8. The Undertaker. The Undertaker's always prided himself on having excellent pro wrestling matches. When The Undertaker was booked to wrestle Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 33, the dead man planned on this being his final ever matchup. The Undertaker was going to main event the show, hopefully having a match of a lifetime, and officially call it a day. Unfortunately, The Undertaker was instantly humbled as he delivered one of the worst performances of his entire career. Unlike most top wrestlers, The Undertaker was fully aware that he had been humbled and that he'd underdelivered. The dead man spoke at length regarding how ashamed he was of his performance, and he even apologized directly to Reigns for the quality of his performance. The WWE legend would have numerous opportunities to redeem his performance, and his eventual retirement would come 3 years later at WrestleMania 36, where he defeated AJ Styles in a fitting close to an iconic career. Number 7. Mickie James. Our fans were elated when Mickie James returned to WWE in 2017. James was and still is considered to be one of the greatest female wrestlers of all time, but unfortunately, it became apparent incredibly quickly that WWE were going to humble James during her final run in the company. James would rarely win matches, and she was often presented as a side character despite her still being insanely over and her still being able to deliver at a high level in the ring. When her run came to a close, WWE controversially sent her belongings back to her in a trash bag, and this quite rightly caused widespread disgust amongst the wrestling community. Speaking to Chris Van Vliet, James would discuss how her run made her feel like she was being humbled at every stage. Yeah, I don't think me getting my stuff in a trash bag was the point. I would say it was on par with everything I tried in the last 2 years of my career. I tried everything in my space to pitch. I felt like I was cut off at every turn. There were a lot of things that happened in the last 2 years that really made me feel that I was being humbled along the way. She continued by saying, "No, you don't deserve a retirement match. I wasn't upset at being a producer. I love to help younger talent. I don't want to wrestle forever either. This run was going to be my last run. All I wanted was this one moment. I didn't want to win the championship, I just wanted to bow out gracefully, but I felt like there was zero interest. But then trying different things like commentary or trainer in NXT, it's not that people don't want women's wrestling, it's that it is too much for the company." Number 6. Triple H. Upon The Rock and Stone Cold taking a step back from WWE in 2003, Triple H became arguably WWE's biggest full-time star. The game would become the face of Raw, and he would have a dominant world title reign where it was his job to carry the brand and have excellent matches. The issue was that Triple H was humbled by taking on this role. When Triple H wrestled former WCW names such as Scott Steiner, Kevin Nash, and Goldberg, it became clear that he wasn't the ring general that he thought he was, and he didn't have the ability to carry these names to show-stealing pay-per-view matches. In Triple H's defense, it would have been extremely hard for anyone to carry these names to pay-per-view quality matches in 2003, yet Triple H clearly expected things to go much better. Number 5. Hulk Hogan. It's not uncommon for a wrestler who made a career of abusing their backstage power to be eventually humbled years later. This was most definitely the case with Hulk Hogan in 2002. When Hogan returned to the company, he was given a strong push at first, and this included a WWE title win at Backlash. Eventually, WWE decided that it was time for Hogan to give back to the industry, and Hogan would be booked to put over names such as Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, The Undertaker, and Triple H. This would have come as a huge surprise to Hogan, who would have been expecting WWE to treat him and book him as if he was in the 80s. But this was a new era in WWE. Whilst it was nice to have Hogan on the active roster, there were a dozen names that were incredibly over with the audience, and thankfully WWE weren't in a position where they needed to be over-reliant on the Hulkster. Number 4. Braun Strowman. When WWE arrived at the 2018 Royal Rumble, Braun Strowman was still relatively new to competing in major top-flight matches. Strowman was a decent worker, yet he couldn't get carried away, and unfortunately for Strowman, he got carried away in a match that featured Brock Lesnar, and Strowman was instantly humbled. During a triple threat match that also featured Kane, Strowman kneed Lesnar in the head, and Strowman was instantly reminded of who he was in the ring with, as Lesnar legitimately punched him right in the head. Strowman took the blow like a champ, and this was the last time he got carried away in the matchup, especially when competing against one of the toughest men to ever lace up a pair of boots. Number 3. Shawn Michaels in 2018. In 2018, Shawn Michaels made the bold move to come out of retirement. HBK had the perfect send-off back at WrestleMania 26, yet the Saudi payday was too substantial to ignore, so Michaels would commit to having one final match. HBK believed he still had the ability to deliver a great match, and he would team with Triple H to take on The Undertaker and Kane at the Crown Jewel event. The match ended up being a total embarrassment for all four men, and HBK, whilst not completely awful, was not the old HBK, and fans wished he remained retired. Michaels was quick to swallow his pride and admit that maybe it wasn't the best decision in the world to wrestle again, and Michaels and the fans have collectively tried to act like the match never even happened, which is probably for the best. Number 2. John Cena. Upon becoming the face of WWE, it allows that top star a certain degree of power and influence. At the 2010 SummerSlam event, WWE had planned for Team Nexus to defeat Team WWE. However, WWE's top guy John Cena wasn't a fan of this finish and used his sway to get the match changed and present him as the sole victor. Everybody knew that this was the wrong outcome, and this extended to Team WWE members Chris Jericho and Edge, but Cena believed that he knew best. The finish of Cena standing tall fell completely flat, and Cena was humbled when he had to come back through the curtain and address everyone who'd advised him that the finish wouldn't work. It took Cena several years to address the matter publicly, but eventually did during a Q&A in Australia. In that particular moment, it was too much. I think if presented in another way, it could have been a little more palatable, but I can't change the television show. I never had that power, and that's something I don't do. If you look at a laundry list of my opponents, you can tell that it's exactly how I operate. I guess wrong on the way that the story was told, and I guess that's why people are so up in arms about it. But we tell so many stories. I was wrong once. And number 1, Shawn Michaels in 1998. It's been an urban legend for decades that Shawn Michaels wasn't going to do business at WrestleMania 14. HBK was booked to drop the WWE title to Stone Cold Steve Austin, and there was intense speculation that HBK simply wasn't going to do the honors. It was believed that The Undertaker was one of the names who humbled HBK by insisting he did the job to Austin, and he reportedly even taped his fist in case he had to get physical. The dead man addressed these claims during an interview on Broken Skull Sessions. I don't think he was excited because you were on fire. Rumor has it, we don't know if Shawn was going to do business. I determined, what if he decides to do something silly? I worked with Kane that night, but this was foremost on my mind. It was a vital part of our success story, the transfer of the title because he was going away. I sat in Gorilla, watched the whole match. It sounds over the top, but I had to take my hands up. If Shawn had not done business, there would have been an appearance by The Undertaker that night. Somehow or another, that belt was going to get switched, and I was going to do what I had to do to make sure that happened, because there was so much riding on that. If it meant me thumping him up and throwing him back in the ring, that's what was going to happen. HBK would go on to reluctantly drop the title at Austin, and this would mark HBK's final match in WWE until the 2002 edition of SummerSlam. But there you have it, folks, 10 WWE wrestlers who were instantly humbled. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.